Alright, and welcome. This is Nick Marine presenting Let's Learn Japanese, a course series for the self-study Japanese from basics and beginnings up to intermediate and hopefully advanced. As usual, this is a Let's Read Japanese, so the idea is like playing a show or an audiobook up above, and off to the side I'll be reading the text of that audiobook or the transcripts of the show or subtitles, depending. And as I read along, if I see something I don't know, I pause the audio, look up the word with the pop-up dictionary, in this case Yomi-chan. About as simple as I can put it. Way you can look at this if you want to is this is kind of like if you do it for an hour, that's like an hour of study, but for fun. Because again, you're reading for fun, but you know, in a way it is studying, especially if you're looking up words you don't know. So it's like a more intense version of reading, if you think about it. And but it's still reading, and you do get a little bit of studying, but it's not like a subsess rest version where, I'm sorry, not subsess rest, not like in the spaced repetition system where, you know, especially because you might be looking at words you don't know, but you're probably going to forget it. Like as soon as you're done reading with the book, then that word just goes away because you're not being exposed to it as much anymore. And it's spaced repetition would, if it goes into a Anki deck or something, and if you added it, it would then, like, you might see it in a week, then 2 weeks after you finished, and then 4 weeks after you've seen it the last time, then another 2 months after that. That's the spaced exposure, if you would. Whereas you would get it, which is important. Maybe not so now, like depending on your level. If you start doing reading every day, you start to notice like the SRS is not that important for these low-level words because you run into these words all the time. It's like it's hard to forget it because you're not given the chance to forget. You're always being exposed to it over, constantly. But the SRS kind of shines in if you can't do this, the immersion every day. So now it's kind of like, okay, well, even these common words that you probably would forget because you're not getting the exposure you need, then yeah. SRS kind of supplements that, or it kind of allows you to have a holding pattern, if you will. So you keep these words in your head until such time you can start doing the immersion that needs to be done properly. Just to keep it in the back of your head. You could probably get really good in Japanese. Never use something called like Anki or anything. If you do stuff like this, where you're reading every day and also watching regular shows every day, in addition to this. So if you did this for 2 hours a day, and then watch like 2 to 4 hours of Japanese shows every day, in a year's time, you're probably going to be pretty good as to your comprehension, and maybe even your output if you like start doing the whole, talking along with what you're seeing or hearing and whatnot, like shadowing. I think there's one case like, you definitely see it with children. I mean, that's obviously a lot. Children are like an easy explanation, but for adults, I think on the MAA side of things, one gentleman, he said during his video or his discussion with Matt, I believe, it's like he wasn't studying. He kind of gave up. He wasn't using Anki except for kanji, and then, but for vocabulary, he was just basically reading what are called visual novels, which are essentially kind of like what I'm doing here, in that you usually are reading to audio in visual novels, but they had it to where you can actually hover over a word and look it up. So that was your average visual novel doesn't let you do that, but there are some programs out there allow you to make it to where you can do that with visual novel. So that's what he was doing for like a year or a year and a half, and yeah, he got really good at the language. So it's something to consider, and that was on top of the reading, but also he was again watching Japanese. Yeah, that's just nature of it. Now, if you can't put in the time for the immersion, then yeah, then don't expect to be get better like to that level in the same amount of time. The numbers don't work out. If they put in 5,000 hours and you put in of immersion, you put in only 1,000 hours. Even if you've been studying words at the same rate, sorry, the guy that knows the same number of words as you do but put in 5,000 hours immersion is probably going to be better in Japanese than you. Just how it's the numbers thing there. But that's also a good reason to not let it get you down, that if you're not making, careful when you compare yourself to another person, like look what they're doing. If they're putting in more time, because that's their investment, then don't hate on them for that, but also don't feel bad that you're not at their level. Again, you're going to the same destination, but you may have started at different times and you're going at different speeds. All right, so just be aware of that. All right, so with that said, let me get started with so again, this is Fullmetal Alchemist. There'll be episodes 7 and 8. So slowly getting to the 13 parts of this particular series. Are going to be in 13 parts, 2 episodes apart. These were taking about 2 hours because these are just there's just a lot of exposition dumps with very difficult vocabulary. So I look up a lot more stuff, which adds to the time. Yeah, but with that said, let's start with the Anki stuff, and we're on the half-hour mark. If you're watching this later, just skip to the half-hour mark, and I should be starting with the actual Let's Read proper. Okay, kanji. Here we go. Tide. That's the one I missed yesterday, because there's different ways of saying tide, or a couple kanji for tide, maybe 3 actually. In this case, water and morning tide would probably be better. But yeah, so this is a little hint. I said, hey, it's not this kanji, so I know. Oh, okay. So it's that kanji. Cool. Interrogative. So this is danna. Make sure I got that correct. Husband. Yeah, okay, there we go. Make sure I got that right. So yeah, so like key if you want to, and then there. Okay, done. Okay, grains of sand. So this is sa. Okay. Is that one Gobusata? Sa of Gobusata. I think I got that right. No, wait. Oddly enough, this is I think it's this one here. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so we got Gobusata, been a long time. Isago. Actually, I need to add some more words to this. There is not enough words there. I'll do that after the... Alright, so that's good. The heights. Oh, Osaka. So that makes life easier. This we're having extra words, including names and cities. Okay, so Osaka, there we go. Hanshin there, since, like I said, it just makes things a lot easier. Like if you said like ought, and I think and one of the words is Yokosuka, it's like, oh, okay, now, yeah, I know what kanji it is. Chu, kamu. There's actually 2 ways to write this. I saw actually a really older way of writing it. Okay, so it should be this one here. And I'll show you real quick, because I saw this yesterday. It's like, holy wow, that is... Alright, so it's actually hitobito, underline, hitobito, underline, and then inaka. Yeah, so it's this particular kanji. You can see it looks very similar. Well, that's make sure to complete that line. My pen's running out of ink. So yeah, that wasn't even in the... Yeah, so that was like a very older form of chew, and probably older form of tooth. Clan, this is Han, so this is flour, water, dice. Okay. Drug trade, liquor trade, gambling. Okay, and this is Han. Alright there. Okay, so it's Han, feudal clan, Han Shu, feudal lord, Han Shi, feudal soldiers, Han Te, feudal residents, daimyo residents. Alright. Pair, futa, okay. Futago, should be this one here. Okay. Futago, twins, Soho, mutual. Okay, soul, hair, soul bowl. One side. Okay, that's kind of cool. Soul bowl. And Sogan Kyo. Both eyeballs. Oh, there you go. Binoculars. Sogan Kyo. Kyo. Sogan Kyo. Binoculars. Cool. Consort. Tomo. Alright, so that's Tomo now, company. Dohan, company. Tomo, Bansou. Piano comment. Good. Okay. Clutch. Yeah. This one's kind of easier for visual since you already know the kanji for globe or world, right? And you think of a clutch like a clutch of a car. So just imagine you got a globe that's the knob of the clutch, and you use your fist or your hand to grip the clutch. So this is to clutch the clutch. I know the clutch is I know that's the gear shift. So you're gonna push the clutch and shift the gear shift. But work with me here. We're going with the visual. All right, cool. Or maybe the little button for the clutch is in the side of it. Oh, sorry. Let me just show you real quick. Okay, cool. That's it. Yeah, so the kanji's gonna like almost go down to 0. Probably what I'll do is like if it's not above 10, I won't do the kanji ones. I'll just go straight to the Morph Man. And then if I run out of Morph Man time, then I'll start also then going into adding the Shinkansen Master, showing those reviews. All right, so. Okay, so this is Eisho, like an aria or singing. Eisho shi. Eisho. Yeah, Eisho shi. Mukinauru, like basically change face directions. Muki naota, like face each, face forward. Mukinauru, mukinauru, mukinaota. Oreru. That's to fall in love with. Yeah, okay. Horeten, horeten, nara. Yeah. Horeru, horeru. Dojo. Oh, to feel dojo, to feel grief or condolences, basically. Dojo suru. Dojo. Sympathize, there you go. Korogaru, just like lay down on the ground. Korogatte ita. Chisei. Chisei. Oh, general knowledge. Chisei. 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 Chiseo. Knowledge. Uchi. Kawasu. Uchi kawasu. It should be just destroy it. Kami o uchi kawashite. Uchi kawashi. Kawasu. Kawashite. Uchi kawashite. Spoil, destroy. Kawasu. Okay, so destroy. Uchi kawasu. Onzoushi. So it's a scion or the oldest son of a wealthy person. Onzoushi. 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 Taburakasu. Nope, forgot it. Alright, got that one wrong. Taburakasu. Ta? Do something real quick. I actually kind of like doing this with the another fugu, another slap tabura. Tabura. Okay. All right. Another person slap and should be naked. Okay. cheat. So if you're cheating with another person, you're gonna go slap them because you don't, see them, no, because they're naked. Okay, there you go. That's easy. Tabura-kasu. Tabura-kasu. It should be Isamashi. Aizutasa. Isamashi no ni. Isamashi no ni. Isamashi no ni. Oh, let me. Sorry. Isamashi no ni. Baitoru. Take back. Ubaitori. Ubaitori. Baitoru. Kigazaru. 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 Kazaru. 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 Kigazaru. Okay. Kigazatta. Kigazaru. Kikazaru. Kikazaru. Yara. Oh. And yeah, basically the same as yeah. Wine yara. Boku ni mo wine yara. Katsute for a long time. Kashika katsute. 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 Gokigenyo. Good morning, basically. Minasan, gokigenyo. 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 Should be saru. Oh wait. This is it's kazaru. No, it's not kazaru. It's okay. Kari no chocolate. I know it's like scraping, but I'm forgetting the term for it. Kezuru. All right. So let's bring out the guns. Kezuru. Ke. Hair, and zu is a map. Hair and a map. Okay. All right. I can visualize that. Hair and a map. Okay, cool. All right, and again, this is just a kind of a mental trick where you're trying to associate you're trying to remember what the kunyomi is supposed to be for this. So there's obviously some ways to do it, but you've got nothing to. You basically have to memorize it. So using these little quick, like, hey, just associate a symbol, some type of visual symbol with each of the kana, and then use those symbols in stories dealing with this particular word. So you're trying to think of a story to help you remember this. So in this case, it's kezuru, or to show you real quick, to kind of like shave or something. In this case, he was scraping chocolate into his curry. So the way I'm imagining, like, maybe someone was shaving a fuzzy fruit and was leaving hair on a map, and then they're kind of like it ruined the way. They kind of made a mistake in where they needed to go after that. That's something like that. Or maybe they were peeling an orange and drawing a map onto it. Like, you can do all sorts of things, like ke for hair, something hair and kezuru. Okay, mao. Matta ka to omou to. Mao. Dance. Keihi. Those are the finances. The keihio. It's something. Tamerao. hesitate. Let me, what we got there? Tameda, Tameda. Tameda inagara, oto no tamedaを見まさく見まさくめくる Oh, that's the flip through pages. ページをめくっていく装置めくるめくるめくっていくめくっていく完成完成が完成固まるOh, frozen, right? 固まって固まるけなすShould be insulting someone. けなしてんの Speak your love. けなしたの Should be shokun. Shokun. Like a younger person. Shokun. Shokun. Kochou. Akurui kochou. This is a way of speaking. Akurui kochou no nami. Kochou no. Kuchou. 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 Kuchou no. Hikitoru. Take something back. あのさ、引き取っていく。引き取って。崩れ落ちる。崩れ落ちる。Just collapse. 崩れ落ちた。崩れ落ちた。崩れ落ちた。突っ込む。Russian. 突っ込む。突っ込めてきた。Just to not rush in, but just to break in or start it off. But in. 突っ込む。突っ込むのも突っ込む。It's a Hashira. Hashira. It's a pillar, right? Hashira. Hashira. Suzhou. Suzhou, just above the head. Or above, overhead. Suzhou kara. Suzhou. Zuzhou kara. Oh, missed that. Zuzhou. Zuzhou kara. Zutsu. Zutsu. Okay, zutsu. Rakka. Falling. Rakka shite ita. Rakka shite ita. Chouchou. Chouchou. Chouchou no. Chouchou. Yeah, it's just the town. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, mayor. Small town mayor. Hikakaru. Get stuck in. Get caught up in. In this case, get caught up in, probably. Toshi. That should be an investment, right? Kono toshi. Toshi. Yeah, investment. Yakeni. Yakeni. Kind of like loudly or Yake ni, like extremely in a way. Yake ni oki na oto de. Taburakasu. Tabura. Yeah, so this is cheating on. Shinjararenai taburakasu. Yokosu, just send a handover. Yokosu, yokosu, yokosu. Okay. Idomu, challenge. Shobu idomu to wake ka. Idomu to wake ka. Fui. I'm thinking. Let me make sure. Oh, suddenly, just reflexively, or just basically be jolted into something. Fui o tsukare. Fui. Inamitsugeru. Glare at someone. Zujo. So there's Zujo right there. Zujo no suise. Inamitsugeru. What are we doing on time? We're almost at 30 minutes. Tsugeru. Kasuka. Lightly or gently. Hansha tekina. Reflexively. Hansha tekini. Te o yaru. Hansha tekini. Ishikoru. Pebbles. Ishikoro, hiroi. Ishikoro. Kairo, a circuit. Kairo no kosho. Kyo Kairo. What are we doing on time? Issei, all at once, sei no. So that's the sei of sei no, like all at once. Issei ni. Tsutsu, while doing something. Naritsutsu. Shinpai ni naritsutsu. 同時に行う2つの、王室は Royal Family。早速王室に形見 keepsake 形見なんか形見なんだ10年 middle age 10年の女の人だ10年の試飲wine tasting or tasting ワイン試飲会場試飲会場 Alright, shikai, this is your field of vision, shikai, or the what you can see. That's shikai wa shikai. Cool. Alright, since that's the 30-minute mark, cool. Let's go to the next. Alright, so that's probably go faster than that because that's saying like 60 cards in about 20 minutes, so you probably go a lot faster than that. And by me not reading the sentences like out loud, it's actually making me go faster. I'm reading it in my head, and then I'm trying to at least say the word out loud because I want to kind of practice the pitch accents. So that's kind of why I'm doing that. But yeah, it's just got to take time, and so 20 minutes, so about another maybe 5 or 10 minutes I could be finished with that. About the same thing with the Shinkansen Master. That's just, again, it's just me reading it. I'm not reading it out loud. Just like, hey, do I understand, hey, what this grammar is doing in that particular sentence? And similar, Tango takes the longest because that's audio cards. Really, kanji will take longer because I'm writing out kanji, but because there's not as many. Like again, again, it's just right now just you're just saying like 10 kanji. I could actually go through it even faster if I'm not doing it on video. You know, me writing it down and holding it to the camera. But yeah, and this, what I might do, and I don't do it here, but you know, there is some use for, you know, if you miss something, maybe write it down real quick. This is kind of like as a way to kind of slow you down and make sure, hey, you are getting that word in your head a little better because you did miss it. And that's up to you. That adds a little extra time, but just limit it to just writing down the word that you missed. Don't write down every word because that's just going to add so much time. It just makes your reviews take too long. But yeah, leave that up to you. You know, if you just like, for me, it's like going it over in my head. Or it's like, for me, I did the effort by, you know, finding, especially for me, the trouble's going to be, sometimes the kunyomi words are going to be the hardest. But there are a few things like zujol, where the, you know, over the head, it's from overhead. Or it's a su, but even though it's like a zutsu, so it's like a headache. So it's not su, it's zu. So I got to remember it's zu, it's not su. You know, so small stuff like that, and you start getting into it. Oh, okay, I see what the problem is. All right. Anyway, let's get started. And yeah, slowly but surely I'm, sorry, let me just show you. Slowly but surely I'm getting down a little bit more every day. Like I basically take it down to multiples of 50, the actual due cards every day. So by the time that's at 0, then my review time per day is going to be drastically reduced. Because I don't think it needs to be because the amount of reading I'm doing, I don't need to put as much, like if I'm doing 2 hours of reading, I think I only need to worry about 1 hour of review time. Per day. I don't think I need to be putting in like a couple hours of review. The reading I'm doing is a big amount of the studying, especially in the way in which I do read, which is again looking up words. Because, you know, again I'm going through these, I'm looking at these words, and again it's like, I mean, it like kiku came up, not just any kiku. So let me just show you real quick. It was this kiku. All right. Add the coup. Alright, so this came up. Alright? Now, I haven't added that word to my Anki deck. But I already know what the fucking word is, because again, it's it's just a version of asking that you see written in text all the time, and they've been coming up in all these books I've been reading. So I don't need to add, I didn't need to add that word. I already knew it. So me putting it into Anki wouldn't, so I just paused that and went on to, I just said, hey, I already know that word, and go on to the next one. Because again, I knew it from, you know, and I'm doing this with other words as well. Because again, it's like I'm seeing it's like, oh wow, yeah, that's easy to know. Because I'm able to actually know it because of the, you know, again, you know, the type of kanji that's being used. So that's something to also be aware of if you're doing this reading every day. That, you know, you could actually do it in place of Anki, especially now. You don't do it for kanji. Kanji, though, you do need Anki for. Or if you're going to do writing words from memory, you need Anki for that, because that's where spaced repetition is going to shine. Because it's like, okay, hey, look, can you write this word from memory? You're probably not going to be writing out books. If you're writing by hand every day anyway, then yeah, you don't need Anki for that. But most of us are not doing that. We don't need to do that. There's no need to do that. But so Anki is just like, hey, as a reminder, hey, can you write this kanji from memory? Or hey, can you write this word from memory? That's actually pretty good. And it can also work when it gets to grammar, because, you know, you're going to get to more rare forms of grammar. Now, maybe for reading every day, you know, even N1 level grammar might not seem that important. You know, I don't know. But it might be useful when that gets up. It's like, okay, hey, just get a reminder that, hey, this particular grammar point conveys this meaning. You know, and just like, so it's in the back of your head, so you don't have to depend entirely on constant exposure in order to build that type of recognition. Instead, it's using your studying version to help complement that. So just keep that in your mind when you hear people say all you gotta do is read a lot more, and think, yeah, that works, but it, you know, it's gonna work for the stuff that's like in that 95 percentile range. That maybe that 5 percentile range is gonna get harder. You know, because remember, in the 50 percentile range, there's only 1,000 words, so you're gonna be seeing those 1,000 words all the time. You know, like, but then in the 75 percentile range, you know, there's 2,000 words. So in other words, another 1,000 words is in that second is in the 25% range. First 1,000 words in the first 20 is in the 50% range. Next set of 1,000 words is in that 25% range. So you got to read twice as much to get exposure to that same those 1,000 words as you did the first 1,000 words. All right. Then 2,000 words. 2,000 words is in a 15% range. All right. You got to read 6 times as much in order to get the amount of exposure for that set of 2,000 words as in the first set of the 2,000 words. All right. There's that much more. So that's why you got to get for the exposure. Then the next set of 2,000 words is in the 5% range. So again, you got to read, again, do the math. So that's, I want to say 15 times. Right? You got to read 15 books to get the exposure of those 2,000 words as you're getting for that first 2,000 words, the most common 2,000 words. And we're only in the third group. That fourth group is in the 3% range. And that fifth group of 2,000 words is in the 2% range. Or actually, no, it's like 1.5 or something. It's like really small. And then that last one is in a 0.5% range. All right? So 0.5%. So imagine 200 times. You got to read 200 books to get the exposure, the amount of exposure to those 2,000 words as you did for the, just with one book gives you for those first 2,000 words. That's just, again, that's where Anki starts to shine is in those more rare words, and it allows you to have an active comprehension of it because you're getting a very smart exposure to those vocabulary words, and that's kind of why Morphman works in this intermediate. That's why the structured stuff works in the basic range, because we already know what the most common 2,000 words are. That's easy to find, and you can give you in a pretty good group, and you can put in a little sorted in an order that's kind of like in a group of thematic orders. So it's actually kind of fun to learn. So that's the cool part there. And then in that middle range, maybe from 4,000 word to the 10,000th word, Morphman comes into play where, again, it's just saying, hey, this is stuff that you're reading, and here are some common words that are in stuff that you're reading or watching. Right? So, and you remember that, it's like, cool. But then beyond that, now even Morphman kind of fails, and you might have to go to literal sentence mining, like you're looking for stuff you don't know. Because Morphman can't tell what you don't know, because it may be a phrase or a sentence that uses everything in that sentence is a word you know. All the morphs you know it. But the way that morph arrangement happens is that you don't understand it, you don't comprehend it. So that makes that sentence a very good sentence to add, because it's like a phrase or it's like a set phrase, and those are really hard to learn because there's like thousands of set phrases, that are that get harder and harder to grasp. Cool. Anyway, I've talked enough on this. Let's get started. All right, we're on chapter 7. Get this up. Morning, Dr. Merlot. It's almost be afternoon here. Take down to 30. I did start late. I might end up just doing we'll see how this first episode works. If it takes me an hour to get through this first episode, I'm going to say, what, let me just call it a day. Ooh.
錬金術は物質を理解分解再構築する科学なり。
錬金術は物質を理解分解再構築する科学なり。
されど万能の技にはあらず。
されど万能技にはあらず。
無から有を生ずることあたわず。
無から有をいずら。よういずることはあたわず。いずることはあたわず。
何かを得ようと欲すれば。
何かを得ようとすれば。すれば。
必ず同等の対価を支払うものなり。
必ず同等の対価を支払うものなり。
これすなわち錬金術の基本。
Jake Gwaley asked, why was this recommended to me? It might just because it's, if you watch anime, maybe they see, oh, it's Fullmetal Alchemist, and oh, you like Fullmetal Alchemist. Sorry about that. Or if you're learning Japanese, it might be that as well. I don't know. I keep telling people, nobody needs to be watching this. This is really just me, kind of like a self-study thing. But people have fun watching it, so there you go.
等価交換なり。
10日交換なり。
錬金術師に近畿あり。
錬金術師は術師に近畿あり。
そは人体錬成なり。
そら人体錬成なり。
これ何人も犯すことなかれ。
これ何とも何人も何人も犯すことなかれ。Okay, cool. So, I'm basically reading that through that like I was doing the opening song for Evangelion.
エドたちが出会った男マルコーは不完全ではあるが賢者の意志を持っていた。エドの熱意に動かされ、マルコーは研究資料の隠し場所を明かす。そしてオートメイルの修理を終えたエドはマルコーの研究資料がある国立中央図書館第一文館の前に立つ。
Also at the ending, like he's apparently missing one important screw in his automail. So remember that plot point.
マルコさんの研究資料が
めんどくさいから建物ごと燃やしちゃった。
セントラルで何してきたの？
だから今説明してるでしょ。鋼の坊やがマルコの資料に気づいちゃったのよ。そっちは始末つけたからイーストシティの様子を見に戻ったんだけど、あいつはグラトニー？
似合うよ。血の匂いをまとったイシュバル人が。
まとめる？まとった？gathered up。まとったイシュバル人が。ああ。
近くにいるよ。あいつ食べていい？
髪の毛一本残さずにね。
真実を隠す。Jake Gilly asks, oh, so all you do is you take the subtitles. You can get the subtitles from a website called Kitsuneko. There's all the other places. Like you can actually download it directly from Netflix. And I run it through Subtitles, which basically puts it into a line by line and then paste it into a so that's how I did it. So I got the timing information and the line. So that's just how it works. It's nothing complicated. Okay, that was interesting.
スカーの目撃情報はエルリック兄弟の一件以降皆無です。
一件以降皆無。
もうイーストシティにはいないんじゃないですか？
いてもらわねば困る。
いてもらわぬ。いてもらわねば困る。
は？
セントラルで持て余した事件を解決できれば
持て余して
私の株も上がるというものだ。利用できるものは全て利用する。私が大総統の地位について 軍事の全権を掌握するまではね。
Should be cold authority, right? 掌握。Yep. 掌握するまでは。
不穏当な発言は慎んだ方がよろしいかと。
慎む。慎んで方がよろしいんかな。
ああ、せいぜい気をつけるとしよう。
失礼します。たった今マール川で爆発が起きたと報告がありました。
何？
何？
ガス爆発か。
わからん。近頃物騒だからな。
そう。
スカーが着ていたものに間違いないと思います。
死体は出たか？
捜索はしてますが。
探し求めること。捜索 you want this oh 捜索 make sure about that 捜索がし
どのみちこの出血では無事ではないでしょう。
出液この出液では無事ではない。
しかし死亡を確認するまで油断はできん。ハボック少尉。
はい。
お前の隊は瓦礫の撤去作業を進めろ。
Whoa 瓦礫 Wait you see that瓦礫 OK 瓦礫の撤去瓦礫の撤去作業を進める。
昼も夜も休みはなしだ。何としても奴の死体を引っ張り出せ。
勘弁してくださいよ。俺たちを過労死させる気ですか？
うるさい。奴の死体をこの目で見るまで。
過労死 worked to death, right? You've been worked to death, right? Let's see. Yeah, death from work. Oh, karoshi. Oh shit, I've heard karoshi before. Okay, karoshi. That was back at the time they were trying to like talk about how you should work, how you did take the Japanese mindset about working. This is in the 90s or 80s and 90s when it's like, okay, yeah, that was not a good idea. You just don't have your people work to death. That's just an idiotic way of.
私は落ち着いてデートもできんのだ。
ああ、そうですか。
逃げられちゃったわね。
食べ損ねた。
食べ損ねた Like damage from eating? 食べ損ねた食べ損ねた
はいはい、また今度ね。あれだけやっとけばスカーもしばらく動けないでしょ。私はまたセントラルに戻るわ。お父様にスカーのこと報告しとかなくちゃね。
きれいさっぱり焼けちまったな。
きれいさっぱり残りがなく、きれいさっぱりよけちゃまったな。
アームストロング少佐。
おお、ロス少尉にブロッシュ軍曹ではないか。
ブロッシュ軍曹
何事かな。
司令部から出頭するようにとの命令です。
出頭するようにとの命令。
エドワード・エルリック殿の護衛は私たちが引き継ぐことになりました。
護衛は私たちが引き継ぐことになりました。
はい、わかった。
んだよ、暑苦しいおっさんと別れられると思ったらまた護衛付きかよ。
図書館の件ですが、第一文館の資料に精通している人物がいるとのことです。
精通あることについて詳しくしていること。completely informed, well read, well versed, completely informed. 精通している人物がいる。
もっとも退職しているのですが。
期待薄そうだな。
期待薄そう。Let's see, that's a phrase. 期待薄そうだ。
何か。
ぶしつけな質問ですが。
ぶしつけな。rude, right? ぶしつけな。
なぜ鎧の姿で？
趣味って何かありますか？
所以 so that's a ensign and どの that's a respect, right? Let's see. Mr. 所以どの
何なのこの子たちは。
うわあ、ある綺麗な風景だな。
そうだね兄さん。
風景 that was added that word to Anki yesterday.
なんだこの本の山。
本当に人が住んでるんですか？
シェスカさんいらっしゃいませんか。シェスカさん。
Jessica-san. Did she get buried in her books?
兄さん人が埋まってる。
しっかりしろ。
これ
すみませんうっかり本の山を崩してしまって。
何うっかり本の山うっかり accidentally, right? 忘れたり oh yeah, blind 本の山崩してしまって。
このまま死ぬかと思いました。ありがとうございました。
あんたがシェスか？
はい。
第一文館にいた？
第一文館なんて甘美な響きなんでしょう。
文館first in okay 文館第一文館なんて甘美なんて甘美な響き甘美な響きなんでしょう。甘美な響きなんでしょう。
生まれた時から本が好きで、あそこに就職が決まった時には天にも昇るような気持ちでした。でも仕事中だということを忘れて本ばかり読んでいたもので、
仕事中だということを忘れて
クビになってしまう。
読んでたのもクビになってしまう。
病気の母をもっといい病院に入れてあげたいから、働かなくちゃいけないというのに、本当に私ってば本を読む以外は何をやってもどんくさくて。
何をやってもどんくさい。間が抜けているものまで、どんくさくて。
どこに行っても仕事ももらえなくて、そうよ、ダメ人間だわ。社会のクズなのよ。
ちょっと聞きたいんだけどさ。
はい。
ティムマルコ名義の研究所に
ティムマルコ名義の研究所の心当たりあるかな？
心当たりあるかな？
ティムマルコ。ああ、はい、覚えています。
本当？
手書きで、しかも分野が違う本棚に乱暴に突っ込んであったんで。
分野の違う本棚に乱暴。
よく覚えています。
本当にあったんだ。けどはやっぱり丸焼けが。
ことはやっぱり丸焼けかな。
あよー。
その研究所読みたいんですか？
そうだけど焼けちまった。
どうもお邪魔しました。私中身全部覚えてますけど。だから一度読んだ本の内容は全部覚えてます。 ますけど復写しましょうか。
Fukusha. Restoration, so basic recreation. Fukusha shimashou.
ありがとうこんな虫。
虫
Hon no mushi. Bookworm. Okay, I get it. Hon no mushi.
ですか。ティム・マルコー氏の研究所の副写です。すみません、かなりの量だったもので5日もかかってしまいました。
That took 5 days? Okay. That's amazing. Okay, yeah.
世の中すごい人がいるもんだね。リーさん、
これ本当にマルコーさんの？
はい、間違いありません。ティム・マルコー著、今日の献立選手です。
What? Team Marco Show. Oh, 今日の献立料理。Wait, recipes? 1,000 recipes? Wait a minute. A menu. 献立川柳です。
砂糖大さじ1に水少々加え。本当に今日の献立選手だわ。
君、これのどこが重要書類なんだね。
そんなこと言われても、私は覚えたまま写しただけです。
どうやらとんだ無駄足だったようですね。
Let's see if that's a useless addition, right? Murashi. Vain, fruitless skull. Okay. とんだmurashiだったようです。
これマルコーさんの書いたものと一字一句間違いないんだな。
一字一句 word by word 一字 word and phrase each word and phrase 間違いないんだね。
はい、間違いありません。
Let's make sure that's a 分野構成する一つの文字一つの語句わずかな言葉 word by word literal to letter. Oh, verbatim. Okay. Ichiji. I guess verbatim be a better word for you.
あんたすげえよ。ありがとな。よし、これ持って中央図書館に戻ろう。
うん。あそこなら関連書が揃ってるしね。
ああ。おっと、俺っと。どうしよういい。これ、俺の登録コードと身分証明の銀時計。
Recording 登録コードと身分証明銀時計。
俺の年間研究費からそんだけ引き出してシスカに渡してあげて。
はあ、大蔵豆腐の国家錬金術師機関に行けばよろしいんですね。
大蔵豆腐大蔵豆腐 Make sure that's a 大蔵豆腐。大蔵豆腐の国家錬金術師機関に行けばよろしい。
そういうこと。シスカ、本当にありがとな。じゃあ。
研究費から。
何ですかこの金額。
こんな額ポンと出すなんて。何なのあの子は。
He's given a very good budget.
本当にこんな料理の本が錬金術の研究所なんですか？
錬金術って悪用すると危険な技術なんだぜ。それを防ぐには錬金術研究の暗号化だ。
Ah, secret code. Alchemist research secret code. 暗号化。Let me make sure that's暗号化。Encryption. There we go. 暗号化。
一般人にはただの料理研究に見えても、その中身は書いた本人にしかわからない高度な錬金術書ってわけさ。
本人にしかわからないって、そんなのどうやって解読するんですか？
解読 right 解読解読するんですか？
知識とひらめき。
Oh, look, there's 知識 common knowledge 知識or knowledge that should be knowledge right yeah 知識とひらめきひらめきひらめきひらめきひらめくこと一瞬のin clarity oh and鋭いso that's wisdom and smarts yeah inspiration wisdom and inspiration okay
あとはひたすら根気の作業だな。
根気根気一つことを長く続けていこう僕なおpatience ひたすら根気の作業
ああ、気が遠くなりそうですね。
ある鳩料理の項目があるぞ。
鳩、それってもしかして。
鳩 that's a pigeon 鳩料理 pigeon recipes is that a
ああ、緑の獅子。
green lion 緑の獅子緑の
哲学者の月のことかもしれない。
哲学者 so that's a philosopher 哲学の月のこと
フランメルの古写本か。
フランメルの古写本 oldコーデックス古写本
ラムズプリングの賢者の石について持ってきたか。
ラムズプリング賢者の石について
もちろん。
よし、ほらここ。ここもそうだろ。
あ、そうだね。こことかもね。
ああ、よし、やってやるぜ。
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Fullmetal Alchemist. Okay, here we are. So Maria Ross. So she's a ensign or a second lieutenant. Denny Brosh. He's a petty officer or a sergeant, depending on how you want to look at it. Gunzo. So that should be sergeant. Gunzo.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
なんだこのクソ難解な暗号は。
That's a difficult problem. 難解な difficult. クソ難解な暗号。
兄さん、これマルコさんに直接聞いた方がいいんじゃ。
いや、聞いたら負けになる。
そういう問題なの？
シェスカ。
エドワードさんのおかげで母を立派な病院に移すことができました。ありがとうございました。
ああ、いいっていいって。
解読の方は進みましたか？
君は仕事見つかった？
どういう。でもお二人のおかげでダメ人間の私でも人の役に立てるんだって思いました。ありがとうございました。
ダメ人間じゃないよ。何かに一生懸命になれるってことはそれ自体が才能だと思うし、それにすごい記憶力がある。自信持っていいと思うよ。
ありがとう。
So, since she's like cute and useful, I wonder like what horrible fate awaits her in this story.
よっ
ヒューズ中佐。
アームストロング少佐に聞いたぞ。なんだよ、セントラルに来たら声かけろって言ったのによ。
いや、急ぎの用があってさ。
まあ、あれも忙しくて。
あのヒューズ中佐とタメ口ですよ。
タメ口ですよ。
なんなのよ、あの子たちは。
タメ口、should be like chatterbox, right? Yeah. Oh, タメ口。ヒューズ調査とタメ口ですよ。
最近事件やらなんやら多くってな。
Oh, okay, I see what's happening. Okay, so they're not using honorific phrases with him. Okay. I wasn't even noticing that, but I guess, yeah, I guess it's good when you're reading this, like pay attention to how people talk to each other. because again, that's kind of like how again you operate in a Japanese society, and again, since in Japanese they're going to kind of use phrasing that kind of relates to the situation at hand. That's a neat, good way of which to show like the social ranking of people without giving their social ranks. Just to show like how deference is done.
タッカーのキメラ事件もまだ片付いてないし。あ、すまねえ。嫌なこと思い出させちまったな。しかしあれだ。ただでさえ忙しいところに持ってきて第一文館も丸焼けになっちまってよ。
Let's see if that's an actual phrase. Maruyake. Total destroy. Okay, maruyake ni nachchatta.
第一文館。
ああ、あそこの書庫には事件の記録や何やら保管してたから業務に差し支えて大変だよ。あ、どうした？
どうだろう中佐。この人働き口探してるんだけど。
確かに軍の刑事記録も読んで覚えてますけど。
よっしゃ、今すぐ手続きだ。うちは給料いいぞ。
そんなありがとうございます。自信持って頑張ってみます。本当にありがとう。
早速仕事だ。
人さらいかあのおっさん。
人さらいか。
何かに一生懸命になれるってことはそれ自体が才能か。言ってくれるね弟や。
どっかの誰かさんを見てるとね、心の底からそう思うよ。
そんじゃそのどっかの誰かさんは
Somewhere in the book. そのどっかの誰かさん。
引き続き一生懸命やるとしますよ。
引き続き。引き続き一生懸命やる。時間。You need a montage. Everybody needs a montage. Even Rocky had a montage.
おっと。
閉館時間ね。
お、閉館時間。
今日で丸々10日ですよ。閉館までよく根気が持ちますね。
ふざけんな！
兄弟喧嘩ですか？
解けないからといって自暴自棄になっては。
自暴自棄。思うようにならないために自分のダメなものと思い、将来と考えない。So it's like okay, desperation. 自暴自棄になって。
解けたんです。解けてしまったんですよ。
Awesome. しまったんですよ。
暗号。
本当ですか？よかったじゃないですか。
いいことあるか畜生！悪魔の研究求めてはならないもの。恨むぜマルコさんよ。
恨む。 That's the root. That's hito kara. Lame. Uramase Maruku-san.
一体何が？
賢者の石の材料は
Here we are.
生きた人間だ。しかも石を1個生成するのに。複数の犠牲が必要ってことだ。
そんな非人道的なことが軍で行われてたなんて。
非人道的。非人道的。ああ、そんな非人道的なことか。軍で。
許されることじゃないでしょ。
このことは誰にも言わないでくれないか。
しかし
頼む。聞かなかったことにしといてくれ。
Then why did you tell him? Two people can keep a secret if one of them's dead. You know, it's like, oh God, no one can know this. Then don't tell a person who can then tell other people. You know, trust yourself. Don't trust other people. Jeez. So you just know these two are going to get tortured for the information or going to leak it accidentally. You know, this is. Sorry.
なんとエロリック兄弟は今日の部屋に閉じこもっている。
ええ、食事もろくに取らずに。
食事もろくに。That's not right. 外から。
疲れが溜まっていたのだろうか。このところコーンをすべて折ったようだしな。
このところコーン。You notice you're seeing this cone coming up a lot. I guess it's like your dedication or you have a perseverance. Yeah, okay, perseverance. この詰める。この詰めておった。この詰めておったようだし。
苦労して解読した資料の内容があれじゃ。
苦労して解読した資料の内容が。
俺も思い出しただけで胸くそが悪くなりますよ。
なんだ。
胸くそが悪い。胸くそが悪くなります。
なんでもありません。
See? It just. Let me try that. Let's see. No, I can't do it. Let's see. Let's camera that. No, I can't do it. All right. よし。
兄さん、ご飯食べに行っといでよ。
いらん。しんどいな。
うん。
なんかこう手の届くところに来たなと思ったら逃げられて、やっとの思いで掴んだら掴んだそいつに蹴落とされてさ。
蹴落とす。蹴って落とす。kicked away. Kicked down. 蹴落とされた。蹴落とされた。
神様は禁忌を犯した人間をとことん嫌うらしい。
神様は禁忌を落とした、犯した人間をtabooed perpetrators 犯した人間をとことんさんでとことん
俺たち一生このままかな。俺さ、ずっとお前に言おうと思ってたけど、怖くて言えなかったことがあるんだ。
何？
であろう。我が輩だ。
いるの？
小開けんか。
我が輩だ。
どうしよう。
仕方だ、仕方。
しかとだ。
聞いたぞ、エドワード・エルリック。それに元気。賢者の石にそのような恐るべき秘密が隠されていようとは。
ごめんなさい。
See? It just
あんな暑苦しい人に詰め寄られたら。
暑苦しい人に。
がそのようなことを行っていたとは。
そのようなことを言っていたとは。
真実とは時として残酷なものよ。
真実とは時として残酷なもの。
真実。
どうしたのお兄さん。
マルコーさんの言葉覚えてるか？
君ならば真実の奥のさらなる真実に。
さらなる今以上のその on top of the 真実の奥 the truth inside on top of that there's truth on top of the truth、furthermore さらなる真実に。
真実の奥のさらなる真実。錬金術の研究所と一緒だ。
錬金術の研究所。
表面に見えることは真実の一部でしかない。まだ何かあるんだ。まだ。
現在政府関連の錬金術研究所は
政府関連 see that's a association right? 関連 connection relation 政府関連の錬金術研究所。
セントラル市内に4カ所ある。そのうちマルコー氏が所属していたのは
所属何それアフィリエーション所属マルコ氏が所属していたのは第三研究所だ。
第三研究所だ。ここが一番怪しい。
市内の研究所は全部回ってみたけど、ここはそんなに大した研究は。この建物は
第5研究所ですが、現在は使用されていません。崩壊の危険性があるので。
It's a collapsing destruction, right? Crumbling? 崩壊崩れること。Crumbling. Breakdown, collapse. 崩壊の危険性がある。
立ち入り禁止になっています。
ここだ。何の確証があって。
隣に刑務所がある。
They're using prisoners? Oh, that's nasty.
それが
賢者の石の材料は何だった？
生きた人間。
刑務所には死刑囚もいるだろう。
刑務所、that's prison. 刑務所には死刑囚もいる。
表向きは処刑したことにして。
表向き。So, and the phrase, oh, 表向き. So, opposite the front face, 処刑. It's a punishment. So, on its face, it's a punishment word, okay? 表向き。他人の知られること。Openly public, okay. 表向きは処刑、punishment。処刑したことにして。
まさか囚人が材料。
そんな顔しないでくれよ。俺だって考えたくねえんだ。
所轄が違う刑務所が絡んでるとなると。
所轄することまたsurroundings 所轄 That's a soft soft jurisdiction. Okay. 所轄が違う刑務所が絡んでる。
政府が関係してるのかな。
なんだかとんでもないことに首を突っ込んでしまった気が。
Basically, it could be a black site, or it could be just being unauthorized experimentation on prisoners, or just flat out crimes against humanity by this. And of course, we know now that part of it may have been reason for that civil war. With is that they were just the reason why it kept going on. It was to get the ingredients for the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, it makes sense.
だから聞かなかったことにしてって言ったでしょ。
聞けなかったことにして。
これは高度に政治的な問題になるやもしれん。
高度、高さの程度、高度に政治的、political、政治的な問題になる。It's probably the government is actually the ones that's commissioning it.
我が輩が探りを入れてみる。
我が輩が
それまで少尉と軍曹はこのこと他言無用。
少尉と軍曹はこのこと他言無用。So 他言 is to tell other people. 他言無用 don't tell other people. Let's see if that他言 not a word to anyone. 他言無用。他言無用。
エロリック兄弟をおとなしくしてるのだぞ。さてお前たち、この建物に忍び込んで
この建物に忍び込んで
こう調べようかと思っておったな。
調べようかと思って
ないなんつってに
調べようかと思っておった。
使ってない建物に門番ね。
門番。建物に門番ね。
怪しいね。
I think if I remember, the guards are actually chimeras. In the other story, this is how he met the Dr. Tucker again, I think, because he was in the prison. But obviously in this case, the doctor is dead.
どうやって入る？
入り口作っちまおうか。
ね。
してしまおう。してしまおう。Oh, wow, okay. しまおうか。
性反応の光で気づかれちゃうよ。
となると
閉鎖 has to be locked, right? That's 閉鎖がっちり閉鎖。
ここもがっちり閉鎖かよ。あら、ここで待ってろ。
一人で大丈夫？
大丈夫も何も。お前のでかい図体じゃここ通れないだろ。
でかい図体。体付き。So another way for body. Okay. Large frame. でかい図体。
好きででかくなったんじゃないよ。
好きで。好きででかくなる。
66なんだ48久しぶりの客人だ。
なんだ久しぶり客人。
命知らずのバカ野郎だな。
思ったより狭えな、チキショー。これは普通のサイズじゃ通れなかったな。体小さくてよかった。
自分で小さいな切っちまった。
明かりがついてる。 何が現在使われておりませんだ。ビンゴだぜ。
Wait, just say that's a bingo.
兄さん遅いな。
剣に誇りを持つ者がいた。
剣に誇りを持つ者がいた。
自らを異端と知る者がいた。
自らを異端。That's terrible. 異端。自らを異端と知る。
闇の住人たちが笑い、
No, so foreigners, right? What residents? 闇の住人たち。
血を吸った刃が咆哮する。
血を吸った。What's a 歯？血を吸った歯が高級。咆哮。That's what? Drinking blood? Wait. Oh, screaming. 咆哮する。血を吸った歯が咆哮する。
次回鋼の錬金術師フルメタルアルケミスト第8話第5研究所。
第5 the fifth research laboratory or fifth laboratory or laboratory number 5。
戦いに快楽を求め、
戦いに快楽。Wait. 快楽。That's pleasure, right? Let's see. 快楽。求め。戦いに快楽を求め。Oh, why? Loves the battle.
極限に生を感じる者たちよ。
極限 the extremes。極限に息を感じる者たち。
汝らの名を示せ。
Oh, I don't know that word. Nanjira. What is that? You. Nanjira. It's probably Nanjira. Imashira. Sound like he said Nanjira. Nanjira o me shiawase. Shimese. Cool. All right, so it's 1:30. Okay, so I started around the 40-minute mark and got to let's see, and it's right now it's 1:30. So that was about, saying like, now you look at the time, it was like 50 minutes, but I was actually having fun. I was like actually reading a lot more of the information in Japanese and English anyway, so it adds a little bit more time. But it's kind of fun to like figure out, hey, what does this word mean? Just using the Japanese definitions. And you get better at it, by the way. The more you do that, the better you get at doing it. So you just like, no. The problem is, like, I'm trying to think. It's like, holy shit, it's like, what is a word? It's like this. Like, oh yeah, that's kind of obvious. And it's like I kind of have the feeling what it is. It's like, but the word trying to grasp at it. And this is where, if you want to be a good translator, it's like, you're trying to look at, hey, what are a good word in one language that expresses the concept in the other. So that's what good translators do. They just don't do a one-to-one translation. Deep learning algorithm or program that's happening now that's becoming popular can help you with that, in that it does a lot of the heavy lifting. So you can do it sentence by sentence, but you still want to go sentence by sentence. Is verify that what it's doing is it's because there's going to be stuff that slips through the cracks. So you get to go and catch the stuff that slips through the cracks. Hey, this doesn't sound natural, or it's not fitting the flow of the story. So you got to. you can then go and you know, replace or actually rewrite what's given and give it a better flavor to it, and then you give it your own flavor if you want. That's one way you can do it. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you see the way people do translations, they really do kind of like I'm doing here. They'll lay out the sentences, and then they'll lay out the sentences, and then the translation of sentences they'll be putting in the next column. So they'll actually use spreadsheets to be doing the translation, and then they just put it together into a more readable format. Now, some people do it in a better like that. Some people don't. It just, if you're doing it for like as a business, like you're trying to translate, do translations for technical manuals, and that becomes very important, because you know you're trying to make sure you're getting across an idea that, you know, hey, this is how you got to use the material, and you got to make sure it's expressing the same thing in the target language. And you know, deep learning can be really good, but you got to have understanding of both languages, because again, it's going to fail, and you want to make sure you catch the failures. You know, because that's you know, again, it's just technically it is an artificial intelligence of sorts, but limited artificial intelligence. But again, it makes life easier. The same thing like if you're doing color, like a lot of stuff like deep fakes. You know, the good people then take what's output and then do some extra work on it to try to speed it. But a lot of the deep learning is just trying to create a pipeline of it doing all the stuff that a human would do anyway, and just trying to smooth that out, you know, in a way, like, you know, identify something like, if you, let's say for colorization, one thing to help colorization speed up the process is you train it with a bunch of black and white photos. That's one thing, but also you do it with items. So get it to where you get a deep learning program that can identify items. So you have the program identify items in the frame, and sees, you know, hey, this is a bird, this is a dog, this is grass, this is a car, this is a tree, whatnot. And then you can say through the colorization program, like, okay, how would a tree look when it's in color, as opposed to you know, you're trying to just use it from just look at the whole black and white scene. Now you're looking at it in parts, and then colorizing the parts, and then also you want to assemble that back together. And then also you want to do is like run it through filters for about depth information. So you say, hey, this is further away than the other one, so you want to make sure, like, maybe, you know, again, what does color look like from varying distances? And again, let the system, the people who create these programs, what they're trying to figure out is they're breaking down the workflow in a way to where now then you get each of these sections are being done by the deep learning network that gets trained to do different parts, and the output is something, you know, usable in a functional way. So it can't be like a catch-all is like a very difficult thing to create, you know, a generalized artificial intelligence. But yeah, in parts it works out quite well. I don't know why I'm talking about this again, but I just think it's finding it interesting when I was thinking about the translation. Because you can then take something like, hey, here's some bad English, and how would someone, and let's say now you take English and it's like, I want to express these thoughts, this English thought, but in the way in which, let's say, a certain person would express it. Let's say how a President Obama would express it versus a President Bush versus you know, a premier or an actor, maybe a Clint Eastwood. How, you know, because they speak in a certain way, and if you got a lot of information on how someone speaks, and you can actually say, hey, I want, you know, actually give these lines an actor, a voice, and then have the deep learning then convert this into a way which this actor would say it. And now what you do is now you've added character to, let's say if you're trying to translate a story, you've added a bit of character. It's just a matter of though finding out, hey, who gets to play what part. Just another way of thinking. Again, these are just things that, you know, people are getting, a lot of research is being done in the field, and it's just a streamlining. That's all. You know, it's just getting something that takes a lot of man hours and just getting away to where a computer can do it, and then all of a sudden it saves all the effort. But it's we're not to a point where you know, soon you're going to have where deep learning programs create other deep learning programs. I mean, that's going to happen, and and it's in a way it's just where it's like, hey, it's trying to create a best end product in the middle. You know, hey, it's got to do some stuff that maybe, you know, trying to think of all the different ways to create the stuff that happens in the middle. You know, actually put that as a deep learning project, and then all of a sudden, boom! Now you've got something, a deep learning a program that can create a program itself to solve a problem, and in a way which you may not know how to solve the problem, but now it learns how to do it. Yeah, So it's just kind of, again, just kind of interesting. And it's all about, a lot of it is just about training, like training deep learning. I think a deep learning, the DeepL language thing would have been, you know, it's a lot easier with Japanese because of all the subtitles that are available. You got all this information. The subtitles are here, and then you also give it to the translations. You know, if you give it all that information, you know, you get a really good translator that way. And so it's not just word by word. It's not just replacing words in the dictionary. It is, hey, you know, these phrases in it, this is a very cogent phrase, and it not only is it tracking each sentence, like it's keeping track on, hey, what is the entire text saying? So, you know, it's paying attention to who the subject is at the start of the page. You know, that subject person may be relevant at the bottom. You know, and you know, whereas in English, you know, in Japanese maybe you're expected to remember who that person is, but in English, hey, you got to be told like who this person is constantly. You got to keep track on that. Dr. Malo, sometimes Google does a good job at translation. You still need to know the Japanese term. Yeah, Google. But I think DeepL has surpassed Google at the moment. But again, it's an arms race in a way, to where people are trying to, they're trying to, you know, improve what's there. The deep fakes are based on encoders and decoders. There's reading paper out turning the eigenvalues of ODE. Yeah, and plus you've got an arms race where you've got deep fake, then you got a deep learning that can identify deep fakes, and then you got to then have the deep fakes where they try to like overcome. Like, and they said it was like real. I saw the one video where it's like you're injecting what looks like noise. What it is a certain type of pattern you inject on top of the deep fake that then fools the program that's trying to identify a deep fake. It's kind of like, I guess it's like a variant of what you could do. You can actually show, like if you train a program to recognize numbers and letters, right? And you could actually show like blank noise, like what looks like noise, and it can identify it as a number, which, you know, obviously there's no number there. It's just a bunch of random pixels. Then that means that, so you got to train it to then also like how to discard noise, which I would think like, hey, just throw in some noise in there and say, hey, these have to be zero values, so it learns to not to recognize noise. But at the same time, then that the one thing that was happening, you can actually then, you know, actually fake, you know, I like the idea is like you could actually fake out a deep learning program like that. So that's kind of interesting. It's a bit like with us, we fake out our brains. When you think about it, 2D image is, again, you know, everything on your screen. Like, but you can kind of tell from looking at this 2D image of me, because again, there's no depth, but there's depth cues. You know, there's shadow, there's stuff that looks familiar, door, a light switch. So you got stuff that has an idea of that you have like a basic understanding of the world. Like, hey, this is size. So obviously, this door has to be pretty close to me, because it could be just this huge 50-foot door that's, you know, 5 miles back. Who knows? But from the appearance, you know, hey, you know, you kind of got a rough. You can guesstimate. Hey, you know, what are the volumes of all this? Not only the volume of the space, but what is the size of the items in the space? You know, and because of the lighting condition, you know, you got weird shadowing, and so, you know, it can pick that out. Even worse, like if I'm looking around and you see in the glasses the reflection of the room. You know, deep learning programs are doing it to where they can not only just with the glasses, but from the reflection off eyes, they can recreate the room that the person happened to be in. I mean, so now, I mean, it's like, imagine like the people who had to wear glasses just so they're not showing off their emotional expression to the poker. You know, it's kind of like that. Like, you know, you're revealing so much information you don't realize you reveal, and deep learning networks can take advantage of that. And it's either good and bad. But it's just you know, it's just how stuff works. I'm going to think. Here's the thing. I apologize. Let me get back to the reading thing. This was fun, and I had a lot of fun. It wasn't difficult. Like I said, I could have watched it without looking up a lot of the words. I was just as many as I did, but yeah, this is kind of why I liked it. It was like it wasn't that complicated. It was just kind of like doing stuff. Oh, we're doing research at a library. Okay, you had to learn a couple of the words, but then they were reusing it. So cool. Yeah, and it just went smooth. I think what I'll do is like tomorrow. You know, so yeah, I'll just break up episode 7 and 8, and do it that way. Just call it. I'm gonna try to do these earlier. Like I don't want to go like deep into the afternoon, because you know I got to do some other work with my other part-time job. But yeah, this is fun. This was an enjoyable. This was actually a fun episode, and not a lot of action happened, by the way. It was just, but it wasn't enjoyable, and it was a fun episode. You know, that's kind of where you can see about the joy of having like slice of life anime. If it's a fun story, it doesn't have to have explosions, and even though there was that fight at the beginning, which was pretty cool, but you don't have to have that all the time. It can be you can enjoy a story when it has a slow down and takes its time to explore. You know, and this was a very slow burn. You know, when you think about it, I mean, you could have solved this in like 5 minutes. You could have had this told the same thing in 5 minutes. Like, to get to the research, okay, it's burned down. Well, they found like just magically happened, you know, magically happened to have the material they needed memorized. Cool. Oh, but it's just a recipe book. Oh, but there's a code. Oh, but the code is hard to find, so they spend 10 days. You had and it's like, oh no, what is it? You can't figure it. No, we figured it out. The secret Soylent Green is made from people, or it's a cookbook. It's kind of ironic, like it was from a cookbook, but To Serve Man in the Twilight Zone episode was about a cookbook for people, to serve up people. Holy shit, I didn't consider using NNs for spotting poker faces. Wait, you should watch Serial Experiments, Lane. If you haven't done so already. Yeah, it's crazy what you can do. Like, imagine like that's happening. That's going to happen with the neural networks. Can they relate emotion? So that would, you know, then there was a TV show related about that called, you know, Lie to Me. So can you, by showing a person's face, do you have an indication? Now it can't be 100%. You know, it's always on graded scales, but it's like, is this person lying or not? And you've already got a computer that can play online poker really good. I mean, really good. Now if you show it to where you can actually get to where you can do that and then look at people's faces, you've got a very, I mean, you would be banned from any casino I ever try to use it. But yeah, it's that'd be really powerful. What else? I mean, you can do, like, imagine you got a neural network that, let's say playing Go or chess, and it's looking at one of the parts of the program is that it has a camera aimed at the opponent, and it, you know, it's interpreting, like, it looks at what the opponent is looking at, so it takes that into account. You know, like, what is the mindset of the opponent? Which I don't think I've seen a neural network take that into account yet. There's a little bit like the gambling one was, you know, it tries to bluff, so it got good at bluffing, but even then it wasn't really taking. I don't know if it took into consideration how the person they were playing against was playing for the whole time. I don't know. It likely it did, but it would be kind of interesting because we're gonna have to get into that as well. I mean, it's just a fun area to read about. I mean, I don't have the training or the intelligence to even be into that type of field, but it is interesting. I can definitely see how all the ways it can be used. And again, it's going to be very nasty, you know, sort of like when you get into quantum computing and the benefit of quantum. There's going to be there's a lot of negatives for if you get quantum computing working, in that you can break cryptology. That, unfortunately, but you don't get it doesn't do a lot of other stuff well yet, so maybe there could be it. So like you lose one thing that was really good in the world, which is encryption, and you don't get it replaced with anything. That's unfortunately that's kind of not a good, and that would be I guess the way it would look like, imagine, like, you know, when this virus came out, and right now we just don't have the immunity for it, so everybody just gets sick quick. So if you break encryption, you just got this time when you can't be using encryption for a long time, and then nothing's safe until you get to the point where, okay, now it can be encrypted in a new way that holds against quantum encryption, that holds against quantum breaking, encryption breaking. Yeah. All right, I'll call that a day then. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm sorry about the guy who showed up because he said it was recommended. Yeah, I don't know why you were recommended the show. There's no reason people to really watch this. It's just me having a show play while I read the text to it. All right, later on, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll do episode 8, and yeah, call that a day. Thank you all very much, and see you later. Oh, let me say thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.